Let's go.
Hello and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. It's me, Rich, and I'm back this time with Brad, aka AVFC, the religion, for your preview for Aston Villa versus Bournemouth coming up on Sunday. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, help us continue on the road to 10,000 subscribers, and get your comments in, your thoughts on the starting lineup, your thoughts on the score predictions as well, and anything else in your Aston Villa opinion going into this game. Brad, great to see you, mate. How's it going?
I'm good, thank you, mate. You all right?
Yeah, very good, very good. Recording this on Friday lunchtime. We've both got a bit of time in between work to discuss Aston Villa. Before we get into the Bournemouth game, though, we had the small matter of Maccabi Tel Aviv on Thursday night. Managed to get the 2-0 victory. I think it's a case of job done. Nothing spectacular in terms of the performance at all. And I think off-field issues dominated the headlines. And I think it was just good for Villa to get the game out of the way, get the 3 points, and then move on to the next games.
Yeah, it was. Like you say, it's a shame that the off-field stuff kind of dominated, as you said. But on the pitch, if we're going to talk about that, is it was okay. It wasn't like I was expecting us to blow them away. Was my prediction was going to go 3-0. But I went too far wrong. But yeah, they still had a lot more chances than I think they should have done. In all fairness, but yeah, like I say, job done. Another 6 now in Europa, so we can't really argue with that. Can't grumble. But yeah, on to the next game, I suppose.
Exactly. Yeah, and in Europe for Aston Villa, there's been obviously some fantastic games, the likes of Paris Saint-Germain at home, Bayern Munich away, which was a backs against the wall performance, Celtic, which was a humdinger of a game. But, generally they've kind of gone down that path, haven't they? A sort of Unai Emery style European game where he likes to have that control. And many times it doesn't really matter the standard of opposition that you're playing against. Villa playing the same way, but I did think yesterday was a bit far-fetched when we were just basically walking the ball around the pitch. I would have liked just in a little bit more pace in the game. I think particularly when he made so many sort of high-profile substitutes, and we just didn't seem to want to get the ball forward.
No, it felt like a pre-season. Obviously, with like half the crowd missing as well, it gave it that proper pre-season feel. But yeah, it kind of felt like some of those players were fighting for a place in the starting 11, and I don't think anybody that was fighting for a place did themselves any justice, really. I mean, I know Maddison scored. I don't know if it was a cross. I don't know what he was going to say, but yeah, like I still think Dean's our best left back personally. So I don't think anybody really stood out as, oh yeah, that they're knocking on the door now. Sancho was lively, but that's as much as I can say about that guy. Yeah, so it was quite interesting just to see how we're going to line up against Bournemouth, whether there's going to be any revert back to what we do, or if anybody's picked up any injuries, or if anything's been okay. Like I say, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll get on to Bournemouth in a second, but I think we do need to just briefly touch on the England squad announcement. I know there's other players who've been selected for international duty, Tielemans and Onana. We'll come on to Tielemans in a bit. But Ollie Watkins not in the England squad. I don't think it's any surprise to any Aston Villa supporter that he's not in the England squad. He hasn't been in form at all. And if we want players to be picked on form for the England squad, then we have to also accept that when players are out of form and play for Aston Villa, they shouldn't be included in the England squad. So I don't think there's any surprise there. But one thing that Thomas Tuchel did say, and I want to get your opinion on this, is that Ollie Watkins, he intimated that he's playing through an injury and he's not fully fit. So is that a protection thing? Is that an excuse thing? Or is it a legitimate reason why he's not being in the squad? And then also why he's not maybe been at full speed for Aston Villa?
I think it's an excuse. He wouldn't be playing for Villa, I don't think, as much as he has been if he wasn't fully fit. I mean, we've protected Tillemans, we've protected everybody that's had an injury or picked up. You know, even like we've got Marlon. You know, you can say he's not a striker, he's a striker. He's kind of like a hybrid, but he would be given a lot more game time than he has been getting. But he come on yesterday, so yeah, I think it's just an excuse to say why he's not picked him. To be honest, yeah, I don't think he's got an injury at all.
Yeah, it does seem a bit of a strange one, but then on the flip side, you know, Tuchel has made comment about Jude Bellingham not being included in the squad. He's made comment about other players who aren't playing well enough, or he doesn't see them as being kind of suitable for the squad right now. So yeah, I mean, I personally think there's a bit of protection in there, but there might be a case of needs must with Aston Villa and Unai Emery, and you know what he's like with regards to, you know, we've talked about so many times Morgan Rogers needing a rest, playing for injury. Leon Bailey played for injury and almost wrecked his season last season because he went through the trenches the season before. So there's some times when Unai Emery's got a thought process in his mind about how he wants the team to play and who he wants to be in that position. You know, whether they've got one leg or whatever, he'll still play them.
No, yeah, he will. That is true. That is true. But I just, yeah, I'm not sure. I just don't have a feeling that he will. I think he's just protecting him and saying, oh, you know, he's got a bit of a knock, he's got a bit of a niggle. So I don't think it's bad enough for him not to be selected. I think it's form more so than injury. So yeah, that's what I think it is. And I don't disagree with that decision. As much as I like to see Villa players play for their country, obviously it's good for sell on value, or just even as a club mentality to say, look, you play for Villa, you're going to get an England call up, you know, which is probably where Harvey Elliott and so on thought it probably would be like playing internationally. But yeah, I just don't think it is. I think he's just been off form for a lot of, well, all this season and majority of last as well, to be fair.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it transpires into Sunday's game, because you know, let's go on to it now. You mentioned about maybe some players not necessarily staking their claim as strongly as they maybe would have liked, or we would have maybe liked, you know, to see what the sort of supporting cast for the first team is like and how much they're knocking on the door. But Donyell Malen obviously scored a penalty, maybe could have got another couple of goals.
Yeah.
It took him a little while to get into the game, took him a while to get us for us to find him with the ball a number of times as well. But is that a viable alternative at the moment? You know, if Watkins is either A, out of form, or B, carrying an injury, Marlon scoring a goal on Thursday, does he give us that option to start him for this game?
I'm for starting him, and whether it's an injury or not, Watkins is bang out of form. Like, regardless of whether he's got a knock or not, he's just not at the races at the moment. Hopefully that changes, because obviously he's our talisman. No matter what people think of him, he's the main go-to guy for scoring goals for us for the last few years. So I would like to see Marlon start over Watkins, but like I say, the proof will be in the pudding. Whether if Watkins start, then I think that kind of knocks back what Tuchel said. But if Marlon starts, then obviously it does raise bigger question marks again. So for me, I'd still start Marlon regardless, but Unai seems to really, really like Watkins regardless of goals or not.
And then I think just slightly behind what that striking position is, again, an area that's open to debate, because you've got the likes of John McGinn, who I'm sure will come back in, Morgan Rogers will be around, Emi Buendia, who got some minutes on the pitch on Thursday, and I think the player who I think quite a high proportion of Aston Villa supporters are as puzzled as anyone, who keeps maintaining his place in the team. You know, we all want him to do well, but we're just baffled as to how he's continuing to play, is Evan Gesson. And when you've got the likes of Sancho, who's not getting as many minutes, and you've particularly got Harvey Elliott, who's not getting any minutes whatsoever, what is the situation with Evan Gesson at the minute?
I genuinely don't know. I have no idea what. I think the only thing I can say is that he'll track back. There is a lot of times where he'll track back, and like even against Tel Aviv, like he was pretty much playing right back for most of the game. But I don't see.
Is
Like
that
I
what
say,
we've paid £30 million for, though, Brad?
by the look, yeah, no, I think, yeah, he's been poor. Let's be honest. Let's just say as it is, he's been poor, and I don't know why he's starting. Like if we, especially when we look at like Harvey Elliott getting 0 minutes, Sancho off the bench, and obviously Tillemans is hopefully back now. Buendia's, found form. Rodgers is there, but then for no matter what, Gassani's kind of like one of the first names on the team sheet. So Unai Emery, he must be like phenomenal in training. It's the same thing I can think that he's getting in, because on the pitch, I don't see what he's doing. Again, you could say, oh, we can, like I said, he can track back, he gets forward, he's quite agile, and he seems to never stop running, but that's just not enough to win games, unfortunately. So I would be for dropping him, but I just think Unai's got like a project with him, as it feels.
Yeah, maybe we potentially see. I haven't got Martin's predicted lineup, but we'll put it on social media once we get it through. But maybe we see a scenario where it's maybe McGinn, Rodgers, and Buendia as the three behind Marlon or Watkins. Maybe we see that. I just don't see what Evan Gesson's bringing, apart from, as you say, he tracks back well.
Yeah, it's got legs.
I just don't. And every time he gets the ball, he's not quite sure what he wants to do with it. He, in my opinion, because he's doing so much tracking back, he's receiving the ball in an area that's too deep. He's receiving the ball just either inside our own half or just inside the opposition half. In which case, he's usually got too many players to beat before he gets into any sort of area where he can be dangerous in terms of attack. And then if he does get the ball over the top, he seems quite sluggish in terms of that turn of pace. I know Leon Bailey had his critics, but you look at the kind of difference in terms of threat and where Leon Bailey used to receive the ball and what he could potentially do with it, let alone whether he did it or not, whether it was successful or not, because we know that wingers are inconsistent by nature. But where he was receiving the ball was in an area where he could do damage. And even that, when he used to check back and then go in behind, you knew there was something that would potentially cause damage. Whereas with Evan Gesson, you just think, what's the point, mate? You're going to lose the ball.
Yeah, he does. He receives it far too deep. Like I said, I don't know if it's a tactical thing or a personal thing, but he's very deep pretty much the entire game. And sometimes you'll see Cash ahead of him as well on that right side. So yeah, I don't look. It blows my head what we're doing with that right side.
There's nothing much more we can say about it.
There isn't, because like how many years we've always argued about the right back, going more forward, and then the left back tucking in, or vice versa, and he plays with the width of the fullback. So we sign wingers, and then we get them to act as fullbacks, and the fullbacks act as wingers. So like I say, I think it's an Emery thing. I don't know, because when we signed him, it was like, okay, then he's got quite a decent record in France. Obviously, apart from a couple of teams, it's not exactly the world's greatest league. But you're still like, okay, then this guy's got goals. This is going to help support and supplement Watkins' goals and Rodgers' goals. We've lost Rashford and Asensio. We need goals. But it doesn't even look like he's going to be, scoring anytime soon. Yes, obviously he scored against recently, but it weren't like, a phenomenal finish or sublime. It was a weird goal. But yeah, so like I say, I'm saying all this now, and he's probably going to score, a brace or something on the weekend.
We hope so.
Hopefully, yeah, and I'll eat my words.
That's
all
what
day
you're
long.
there for.
But
it'll take a couple more games to convince me. But yeah, I mean, I'm all for him scoring a goal on Sunday. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You mentioned Tielemans as well, Brad, and it was brilliant to see him back yesterday for that brief cameo. And within 2 minutes, he played the reverse chip pass into Donyell Malen. It was probably the moment of the game, to be honest. Brilliant save from the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
But just that ability to play the ball in 1 and 2 touches, to receive the ball under pressure, to see passes early, you just see the difference. Obviously, all our midfielders bring different skill sets. Onana brings a different skill set to Tielemans. Kamara brings a different skill set, obviously. But just to have him available is just absolutely fantastic. And what do you see as that central midfield pairing for Bournemouth?
Well, I think if Tillemans is fit, he starts. There's no one with the ball control and passing ability as he's got in that midfield. There is no one, and like you said, with the pass to Marlon was unreal. It was stupid. It was so like ahead of everybody we've got. So personally, I'd like to just go back to Tilly and Kamara again. And then having somebody in the hole, whether that's going to be, Buendia, I'm not sure, behind Marlon. I hope it's Marlon, but yeah, in the hole, and have like a triangle. But yeah, Tillemans, if he's fit, or even if he's 80%, he's still better than anybody else we've got in that creative role.
Yeah, and you do get the impression that Onana will be used in certain games, and Kamara. I mean, Kamara's so good as well. It is so tricky. I didn't actually think Kamara was that good when he came on on Thursday, but
no, me neither.
He does it. He's done that a few times when he's come on off the bench. It takes him a while to get used to the pace of the game. I feel, when he starts games, he's brilliant, but I don't know what it was. Like yesterday, he just kept giving the ball away.
Yeah, he does. I definitely think he's a starter for that reason. I think he grows into a game, and then by the time you kind of need that, that defensive midfield machine that he is, you're already 20 minutes into the game kind of thing. Because obviously everyone's, still building to the game. So, but like if everyone's running at full speed and Kamara's coming off the bench, I don't think it suits his game. It's not a super sub. That's just not his game. So yeah, I'd still start Kamara because, like I say, he's so good for that defensive role, and especially where Bournemouth are in the league, they can score goals. They've scored goals pretty much every game they've played this. I mean, 3-3 against Palace was insane. Still scored against City, and they've got some really good attacking players. So yeah, I think we need him more than Onana.
Yeah, well, you mentioned Bournemouth. Let's talk about them properly, because I think the defense and the goalkeeper picks itself, if I'm honest. But like you said, their attacking prowess is going to put our defense under a real scrutiny. Krupi has done so well since he's come in.
Yeah,
David Brooks just done so well to come back after his issues. Tavernier, you've got Cliver, you've got Evan Nielsen back fit as well, and then you've got Antoine Semenyo, who's just so much quality and so dangerous, and the way that they play as well, they will seriously put us under pressure.
Oh yeah, no, Semenyo, I'm a massive fan, and that was who I wanted us to sign in the summer. If we had the available funds through FFP, that was the guy I wanted. I think he's such an excellent talent, and I can't see him being at Bournemouth much longer past the next summer. He's phenomenal. But like even like Alex Scott, I think he's really good in the midfield. But yeah, they're a really good outfit, really good team. They're pretty much where we want to be right now in terms of the league table. But we have had their number for a while now. I think it's 4 or 5 games head to head. We've beat them. So we are pretty much there.
Apart from that one last season, we beat them at their place, but at home they got that last kick of the game.
Yes,
goal.
they did. Yes. So we have got a bit of a bogey team for them for a change.
Yes.
So hopefully we can do it again this time around on the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the form table, Villa obviously with the 4 wins out of 5 games, losing to Liverpool in the last game, and Bournemouth have won 2, drawn 2, and lost 1 of the last 5 games. So slightly mixed for them. They are on 18 points, as you say, Brad. Villa on 15 points. And a win, it shows you how tight the table is, because a win takes us into the real contention for a top, the top 4 as it is right now after 11 games ahead of the international break. But you do get the feeling like a defeat with other results around Villa would sort of drop them back into that or keep them in that mid-table area where you would be playing catch up again and almost wasting those results that we got against Tottenham and Manchester City.
Yeah, it does. It does. Like I say, what is it? 3 points between us and third, fourth, something like that. I think it is. So it's very, very tight. But like you say, it's one team loses, and you could be straight out of a top 6, top 8 battle. It's so tight this year, which is good. It's good for it's good to keep everyone on the toes. But yeah, it's just going to be a very interesting game. And like we say, we know Bournemouth can score goals. Hopefully, we can. I know we haven't been very, great in front of goal with the amount of goals we're scoring, but we are kind of picking up again now. So, yeah, I mean, we just got to be careful because Bournemouth can hurt us.
Yeah. Just in terms of approach, then, how do you fancy Villa approaching this game? Because we wanted a fast start against Maccabi Tel Aviv, obviously totally different competitions, but we didn't really get that. We just got a standard sort of professional performance, and then almost descending into a pre-season game. Liverpool, we tried, matching them toe to toe at least for that first half an hour, and then the game kind of went away from us. And then by the time we started to push back into the game, it was kind of won for Liverpool. Man City, we grew into that game and then got the goal and sort of defended and caught them out on the break. And before that, Tottenham again just soaked up the pressure and sort of scored when we had the opportunities and didn't really need to exert ourselves too much again once that lead was established. So we haven't really had that, I guess, blockbuster start that we used to get under Unai Emery. I think we've had it in one or two games this season, potentially tried that, but how do you expect us to approach Bournemouth? Because, as you've said, they will go for us. They will try and attack.
Yeah, they will.
But they will leave gaps for us to exploit. So are you expecting us to come out of the traps fast, or are you expecting us to try this controlled possession and holding them at bay?
I think it'll be soak up. I think they're going to come at us. Iraola will probably know. He's such a good coach. He's probably one of the best in the league for the last couple of years. So I think he'll know that, tactically he's very aware, he's going to be on the ball, and I think he's going to come at us. I really do, because like I said, they've got a lot of pace in the wide areas and the attacking areas. So I think we need to soak it up. I think if we try and go toe to toe, I think they've got a lot more pace than we've got, and I think that will hurt our fullbacks, regardless whether it's Maddison or Dean, or obviously Cash will always start. So I think we're going to soak it up, control it, and then I think you'll probably see us come alive more so in the second half by trying to get a grip of the game and get ahead. But I definitely don't think it's going to be a 1-0 and sit back either way. I think this could be a very interesting game for the neutral, and hopefully not too bad for us.
Yeah, I'll get your score prediction shortly, but you've kind of intimated there that if it's second half, that the bench could play a part again for Villa, and that has been a really important weapon for Unai Emery to utilise, regardless of who's on the bench. Whether it be Buendia coming off the bench, or Sancho, or Malen coming off the bench, or Barkley even. At certain stages of the game. So again, having these options that he's able to utilise is a massive, massive feather in his cap, really.
It is. It's one of the very few times in our history, the last few years, where we've got a bench and we can go, yeah, we've got quality. Because it used to be, who have we got if the game's going south? And we're slowly but surely building a very good squad, not just on the pitch, but off it, ready to come on and fill gaps. I mean, obviously we touched on Harvey Elliott. I really want to see, I think every Villa fan's desperate to see the guy play. Hopefully, I don't think he'll come on, but, he's still there. Sancho will probably be off the bench again. But like you said, there's quite a lot of quality on the bench that we can bring on if the game, we've kind of got a plan B now, which is something we've never had. So, yeah, I think that the bench quality is probably going to be the difference maker in this game.
Yeah. Well, I want to trouble you for your score prediction very soon, but if you are watching, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, help us on the road to 10,000 subscribers, and also get your score predictions and your lineup predictions as well for this game against Bournemouth, and your thoughts on what we've been chatting about. Do you agree with us regarding the potential players that we'll be looking to get back in the side? Does Tielemans get straight back in? Does Malen start over Watkins? And what do we do about Evan Gesson? Because there's a few in the comments about him yesterday on the live watch along, so it'd be interesting to know people's thoughts. Brad, what are you saying then for the score for Sunday's game, score and scorers?
I'm going to go 2-1 in our favour. I think Rodgers and I think Marlon will be our goal scorers, and I think Semedo will score for them.
Great. Well, look, as long as we get the win, that's what's important. I'm going to go for Aston Villa 3, Bournemouth 1.
Oh, I was going to go 3-2. I was going to go 3-2, but I thought, no, that's 2 out there. So, no, I'll stick.
3-1, and we will go for Marlon, and I'll go for McGinn, and Sancho.
Oh, okay.
Off the bench.
I'll take that. I'll take a Sancho goal. Goal.
Great stuff. Great stuff. Well, thank you for joining me, mate. Where can people find you on all your socials?
Oh, AVFC Religion, anywhere, everywhere. So yeah, we're about. You'll find us.
Top man. We will be back with a live watch along on Sunday. We've had some great responses to the watch alongs that myself mainly, but also we've been joined by Martin. But the ones we've done generally have been great, and I don't think I've lost on a watch along yet, Brad. So we'll keep that run going on Sunday, hopefully, and then there'll be instant reaction. There'll be match reaction with the boys. There'll be fans forum, and then we'll have a show with Charlie, aka Academy AVFC, some point next week, just doing the roundup of all of the youth team, all the academy results as well. So make sure you stay tuned to the channel. Loads of shows coming up. Thank you all for watching, and as always, remember, we all follow the Villa.